This lesson is called Introduction to Transformations. A transformation just means a change, okay? Anytime you transform, that means you change into something else. So the geometry definition of a transformation is a change. This is kind of tiny, guys, so you're gonna have to sort of squeeze it in there, but it's a change in the position, the size, or the shape of a figure. A change in the position, size, or shape of a figure. Okay, so I'm gonna highlight these. Transformation. All right, a pre-image is the original image. It's the one you start with. The one before. Okay, I'm gonna highlight that too. The image, so this is kind of weird because the image is actually what you get after. It's the result of a transformation of a figure. Transformation. You kind of have to write tiny. I'm sorry, I didn't realize how small this was going to be. So the image is the result of a transformation. So pre-image is what you start with. Image is what you get after you do the transformation. All right, a rigid motion. I'll do the definition and then I'll kind of explain it. A rigid motion is a transformation that changes the position of the figure. And in parentheses, it says length and angle measure are preserved. Preserved just means kept. All right, so rigid motion, that's a lot of words. Really, it just means that a shape moves around, but it doesn't change size or shape. Like if a shape is here and it slides over there, that's rigid because it moved, but it didn't change shape and it didn't get bigger or smaller. Okay, so it just means it moves to a different place. All right, and so here is our notation in this box. The pre-image just uses the letters. So let's say segment AB. That's what we started with. The image has these little marks here. Looks like an apostrophe right here. All right, and after each transformation, we add an apostrophe and we read that as prime. So we would call the pre-image segment AB. We would call the image segment A prime, B prime. All right, so this word prime refers to this image here. So we would call that A prime, B prime. That's how we would read that. A prime, B prime. All right, so here are some examples of some transformations. And I know that you don't know exactly what these are yet, but these are the types of transformations that we are going to talk about. So I want to label, I have a trapezoid here. All right, and it looks like I have A, B, C, D, and then I have another one that's A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. Okay, so I'm going to shade the image. Okay, so we started at this A, B, C, D, and then we ended here. And I know I'm not coloring exactly inside the lines, but okay, but you see how it changed. So it went from the white one to the shaded one. So what happened was it just moved, it slid. Okay, so when it slides, it's called a translation. Okay, I wrote slide here. That's not the real name for it, but that's really what it's doing. It's called a translation. Just means it slides from one place to another. It could slide left, it could slide right, it could slide up, it could slide down. Okay, the second one that we have, it looks like we have a triangle A, B, C, and then what happened was this triangle moved over this way. It did not slide like this, it actually turned like that. So that is called a rotation. All right, let me shade in the image. Okay, so we start with the white and we end with the shaded. Okay, I could even take my paper and show that it rotates like that. Okay, so that is called a rotation, and there's not really another word for it because that's what it's doing, is rotating. I guess you could call it spinning. Like if it spins, that's a rotation. All right, now we've got this one down here in the corner, which looks kind of weird. It's hard to tell where it started and where it stopped. So we use the letters. The plain letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, that's where it started. And then the prime letters, A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, E prime, F prime, that's where it ended. So it started bigger and got smaller. So I'm going to shade in the image. That's the resulting. That's where it ends. Okay, so really what happened to that one, it did not slide and it did not spin. What it did was it got smaller. It's the same shape, it just shrunk. Okay, so this one is, so can shrink or grow or enlarge. Okay, this is called a dilation. It just means, it's like when you have a picture or something on your phone and you want to try to take your fingers and, you know, if you take a picture on your phone and you take your fingers and spread it out or move it smaller, you open it or close it, you're enlarging it or reducing it, that's a dilation. Because it looks exactly the same. It's not distorted or anything, it's just smaller or bigger, but it keeps the same aspect ratio. All right, and now this one, we got to figure out which one to shade. Okay, so I have a plain A, B, C, D, E, that's a pentagon. And then I have an A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, E prime. This one looks kind of weird because it looks the same shape. It looks like it rotated, but if it rotated, it would have the same order. See how it goes around this way? A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E. See how it goes that way? Well, it doesn't do that here. This one goes A to B. It's going the opposite way. See how it's going around backwards? Okay, so here's my resulting pentagon. So what happened here, if it goes in the opposite direction, that means it flipped. Okay, it went from here and flipped like this. So if it flipped, that's called a reflection. So those are the four types of transformations that we're going to learn about in this unit. All of these are transformations. Transformation just means a change. All four of these changed in some way. But the type of transformation is what it does. So these are all transformations. This one is a translation, a rotation, a dilation, and a reflection. So it's very important that you learn these terms. All right? Now this is already cut, and so there's only one piece, and so you're just going to glue it directly to the page in your interactive notebook.